World War, all wars were banned. However, after the Second World War, it became clear that there were some just wars. While the war was not a good issue, there was necessary. In addition, they became immediately that there was a right to protect and a justice in order to make more wars. To control possible abuse in such ambiguity, it was created a multilateral decision-making structure, United Nations. Therefore, to declare war, it was at least necessary to have some consensus. Unfortunately, the multilateral system is now broken. That breakdown has led to countless abuses from some nations, among others. All of these abuses have been made in the name of necessity or even protection. Not many years ago, we witnessed the shameful display of supposed evidence to justify the war. Or don't you remember Colin Powell's presentation at United Nations? However, and most recently, we have reached the point that we no longer need so shameful spectacle. Now, we must simply believe that such kind of evidence just exists. If they say so, that is why today Venezuela claims that world peace and human dignity are hostages. We also denounce, and as I say at the beginning, that the kidnapper has many faces and that he even changed flags. Nevertheless, the kidnapper still always be the same. It is imperialism. An imperialism performed by states that consider themselves exceptional, states acting unilaterally in the international level, acting in detrimental of democracy in other countries, but even in detrimental of democracy in their own countries. In short, acting against multilateralism and sovereignty of other peoples. From Latin America and the Caribbean, through the CELAC, we have shown that another world is possible. So we have built with great effort a territory free of any weapons of mass destruction, whether nuclear or chemical. And we have articulated a multilateral system where war is not even an option that can be put over the table. We have shown that without military intervention, without drones, without economic blockade, it is possible to build and preserve authentic democracy. We have shown that in peace it is possible to advance in the fight against hunger, poverty, inequality. We have shown that peace is the most convenient and sustainable way to act against injustice. Indeed, dear friends, peace has been kidnapped today, and it has been kidnapped in New York. That's why Humble asked for a change of venue for this important multilateral organization. Let's take it to a territory that respects both international law and sovereignty of the member countries. As my own government say, as the great leader Chavez, my former president, says once, let's get United Nations to the south. At least in there, all the countries are exactly the same. And I wish to finish this remembering that the peace is, there is not a way to peace. Peace is the way itself. And that's why we are gathered here today to acknowledge that the peace is not a matter of leaders. It's a matter of responsibility each day. And I wish to thank to those who fight for peace with no weapons, like the Cuban prisoners, the 5 Cuban prisoners in North America, which they fight against terrorists with not a single weapon. I wish to acknowledge Chavez, that only with speech and with love was able to reconstruct a multilateral system, and I wish to express my personal gratitude to Christian Harlan, which the defense of one by one person in the world is the best way to construct a peace for everyone. Thank you, Christian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roger. You have contributed a lot to the work of the Organization for World Peace, together with other Latin American embassies here in Copenhagen. And you have also contributed to the magazine, The Rationale, and thank you very much for your very nice speech. And now, Amani, you will introduce the...
Yeah, and now we will introduce the award receiver. The organization wants to hand away the International Human Rights Award and it's given to Christian Harlang, as mentioned before, for his work within the field of human rights and for his fight against an injustice world. So, since 1982, Mr. Christian Harlang and his associated lawyers have been working on very important civil rights cases involving national constitutional law and international human rights. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through his entire list of principal cases, as they are proving over 50 cases, I think, and some of them you might know. However, the most well-known cases and the cases we found very interesting are...
Yes, the very interesting cases were the constitutional case of the Maastricht Treaty in 1993, as the treaty was not in conformity with the Danish constitution and with the human rights. And another very interesting case is the case about the Iraqi citizens who have been exposed to torture when they were arrested and turned over to Iraqi torture prisons by the Danish military forces in 2004. And with these words, we would like to call Mr. Christian Harlang to hear his speech, and afterward give him the award.
Welcome, officially welcome. Thank you. Please.
Mr. Abiy, Excellencies, colleagues, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Abiy, I must thank you very much for choosing me for this award, which I understand is the first award handover to take place. It's a great honor and privilege for me to receive that award, and I'm very grateful indeed that you have chosen me to have the first award. I have been working as an independent lawyer in Copenhagen now for nearly 32 years. Most of the time I have worked with ordinary cases. I still do, together with my associates. We are 10 persons in our law firm in Copenhagen, and we will continue to do so. The last about 20 years, I have taken up priorities besides the more ordinary cases, also to do litigation and advice on issues of international law, of human rights, about discrimination and similar issues. That work is involving difficult issues. It's involving often unpleasant matters, I must say. Also, regrettably, unpleasant matters about what our government in Denmark is participating into, which is very deplorable many times to see. But the law must be used in order to describe what mistakes are done, in order to make the government and other Western countries understand their failures, in order to not repeat them in future time. Besides being difficult issues, being unpleasant matters, and it is also often uphill. You can imagine that. Mr. Abiy was so nice to mention that we have this victory in the Supreme Court only 2 weeks ago. We have some victories, we have some times where we don't have victories, but we will go on, and we had a very important victory that he mentioned, that the Supreme Court in Denmark overruled the Council of the Government and the High Court. The Supreme Court stated that the 23 Iraqi torture victims that we are representing, they could have the right for a fair trial in Denmark about their claim of compensation without having to make a deposit of security as a condition to have a fair trial. It was not only stated by the Supreme Court that that should be the case, but it was also underlined by the Supreme Court that this is very important case. It's a very serious case, and it must be dealt with very intense and very qualified treatment within the Danish judiciary. And with that message, now the case will be pending before the High Court as the first instance. And we will have this message together with us, which is a great achievement that we appreciate very much. And it's a result for now having worked with that case for 2 years. That is showing to you how the conditions are in Denmark. They are not the way maybe it should be expected, the democratic society of Denmark, that it should take 2 years to get to that point. But we finally reached that only 2 weeks ago. My point about the difficult issues and the often unpleasant matters that I deal with together with uphill work, it could bring you to maybe believe that I will be regretting the work I'm doing. But on the contrary, I must say I feel very happy with that part of my professional business that I have taken up more and more within the last 20 years, as mentioned. When you do work like that, when you do uphill work, though you have a very strong case, or seen from a moral point of view, because you are protecting the principle of rule of law internationally, and you are by that also, I would agree with Ambassador Raja Kopache of Venezuela, that there is a very close relationship between the rule of law and peace. But when you deal with that, it's uphill, but you need to have some appreciation. And I have, the reason why I'm saying I'm very happy to do this is that I receive so many times appreciation from clients and others. And to go uphill, I need to have that fuel. But it's a very important fuel to have for the future work. And I must say to you, Mr. Abiy, that giving me this award today, you have filled up the tank with fuel, with plenty of fuel for my future work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian Harlang. And I'm gonna go home and write a mail about my appreciation, so you get more fuel. I have to remember that. Yes, now we wish to hand over the sign of peace for all the diplomats. So
the country starting from A to C can come up and will receive the sign of peace. So,
You can say A and B.
and yeah, the country starting with A, B, and C. I think there was someone from Algeria and Albania, Armenia.
Yes, please, Mr. Harlang can also join me.
Christian Harlang, you can also come.
And, any other embassy with A? Yeah, no? Please. Any embassy with the other embassy with the name of A or start with A? Yes, please. Yeah, no, you can announce please. I have to learn how to open it. Please. Anyone? Yeah. नाम नहीं लेना, आपने सिर्फ बताना है. Yes, Benin.
Benin?
Yes. embassy with the B? Please. Yeah. Please say the name so everybody knows.
From Burkina Faso. Congratulations.
Anyone with the other ones? B, C? C? Yes. So please, let me tell the name. The Cuban embassy,
Cuban Embassy.
Ambassador Jalil. Anyone else with the C? Or D?
D.
No, but
On the
Indonesia.
D.
Where? Oh, why? How you find it? Very good. Your lovely friend. Anyone with the D? E? Yes. Denmark? Yes, I will hold. Thank you. The E or F, you know, everybody knows that how it will be. D, E, F, G, H, I. Iran. Yes. Anyone else with the I? Pardon? Please.
Ghana.
Indonesia.
Embassy of Indonesia. The Embassy of Ghana.
And next, after G, H, I, J, K, L, Libya.
Embassy of Libya.